New battle in Congress brewing over shielding small business owners from litigation as millions start returning to the workforce, as well as bigger businesses. The Senate Majority Leader calling liability protections a must-have for Republicans in the next round of stimulus, if there is one, saying he won't support Democratic demands for state aid without it. Here to discuss that is Senate Majority Whip Senator John Thune. Senator, I could see that being a real concern for business owners, big and small. Because if they come back and something, God forbid, happens to an employee and they turn around and they sue, your business is over after all the strife and turmoil you've already been through. But how would that work?
Well, and that's the real issue, Brian. I mean, these businesses are fighting to stay afloat right now. And if we come out of this and we're starting to recover, and then they get hit with all these frivolous lawsuits that end up bankrupting the companies, that completely runs counter to what we want to see happen, which is the economies pick up, start growing again, creating those good paying jobs. I think the way that it would work is if you're a company, you're a business, a small business, and by the way, this is a lot of small businesses. I talk to businesses in South Dakota who are concerned about this issue, that is doing everything right. You're following the CDC guidelines, you're following your state health authorities guidelines, and then all of a sudden somebody hits you with a frivolous lawsuit and it puts you out of business. That's what we want to avoid. But if you're somebody that's engaging in gross negligence when it comes to abiding by or practicing those rules, then obviously that's probably you're probably not going to be protected. But we think that limited shield from liability for small businesses who are doing things the right way and trying to protect their employees and their workers, but are getting hit with frivolous lawsuits, is something that could really run counter to getting the economy growing and expanding again and getting us back to normal.
So in your mind, does this look like the government is offering liability insurance, or does it look like a prevention of people filing a lawsuit against employers due to the pandemic? How does it work? How would it actually be written?
Well, actually, I mean, and you're seeing this already, Brian. You've got lots of trial lawyers are already lining up out there. A lot of reporting about lawsuits being contemplated and looking for potential victims of COVID to take on as clients and to go after businesses. And it's not just businesses, again. This is healthcare providers, anybody who's been involved with the COVID crisis in this country. But yeah, I think the way that it would work is you would probably have trial lawyers filing lawsuits, perhaps on behalf of employees, perhaps on behalf of somebody who acquired the virus, and companies being subject then to all this frivolous litigation and having to either pay settlements or pay lawyers, and it could potentially put them out of business. That's a real, I think, valid concern, particularly among small businesses. So the way that essentially it would work is that you would have a limited liability protection against those types of frivolous lawsuits. If you're practicing all the right guidelines, doing everything by the book, following the law, then you ought to have some assurance that you're not going to be hit with some junk lawsuit that could put you out of business. And that's essentially what we're talking about, is it's sort of a shield from liability on a limited basis that would apply to businesses who are doing things the right way.
And this next rescue package, we don't know if that's going to be one, but that's what you guys are going to be discussing along the way. Senator, good to see you back in action. I guess the House is going to come back next week. The Senate is there this week. Senator John Thune, thanks so much.
Good to be with you. Thanks, Brian.